Hello, it's Musavvir Aesthetic here, the artist aesthetic. I hope you guys are all having a lovely day, and today I'll be talking about how to get into an art gallery to have your work sold. And I'll have myself drawing Soobin from TXT in the background since my friend requested it, so this is for you.
Soobin, you know? You know, Soobin? You know?
So to start off, point number one. So first of all, before you even begin to step into a gallery space, you need to have a portfolio. And I usually recommend anywhere from 7 to 10 pieces. If you really kind of want to push it and show more of your work, I would go up to like maybe 15, but really don't go more than that because sometimes having too many pieces can also be overwhelming. Another thing is you want to make sure that the pieces that you do put into your portfolio have kind of like a consistent style or theme, something that just really ties them together, like a similar subject matter or a similar medium, ideally usually both. For example, like Kara Walker, who does like the black cutouts, silhouettes depicting the struggles of African Americans in slavery. Like you can usually walk into a gallery space that has her work and immediately be like, yeah, that's Kara Walker. She does like these beautiful cutouts. They have that like same style going. They usually have that same theme going. And so it's just immediately like you can pick her out. Even like classical artists like Monet, like he used a couple of different like subject matters usually, but he huge thing that he loved was water lilies. And so water lilies was very prominent in his works, and obviously those beautiful like pastel colors and just the way that Monet plays with light. Like usually, even if it's not intentional always, a lot of your personal style would just naturally bleed through from like things we like and to like the similar ways we approach art over and over and over again. So yeah. Another thing I would suggest while working on your portfolio is to ask friends and family for feedback regarding the pieces and just like the overall portfolio and how it looks to them. And if they have any tips or tricks, even if someone doesn't necessarily know much about art, sometimes, especially if they're very encouraging and they will try and help you, it's nice to have kind of like that outside perspective because good art will look good to even people who don't maybe know much about it. All right, so that's all I have for kind of working on your portfolio. Maybe I'll do a separate video more on that. But so my next tip is for now you've got your portfolio, now you need to head into gallery spaces. So where do you start? So my tip would be to look around for galleries closest to you. Don't try and go to, like if you are in, for example, you're in the States, you are in Tennessee, and you don't really want to look for galleries all the way in, I don't know, like Utah or something. Like, first of all, who would even look for a gallery in Utah? Okay, I'm sorry, that's mean. But okay, so you don't want to look for galleries really, really far away. It just doesn't make sense. You want to start off local, especially if you're a brand new artist, you have no connections whatsoever, you're just completely starting from rock bottom. You don't want to look very far away from you. Don't aim like super, super high, like right off the get-go. You kind of want some legs, some foundations. So look around galleries closest to you. Look around in your local community, in your local city, then maybe branch out to like the town, maybe then the state or the province you're in, and kind of go from there. Yeah, you don't want to look far away. And then obviously, if you start in a town or whatever, then you can kind of like slowly branch out. Like the more galleries you get accepted into, like maybe you can start pulling work out and putting them in bigger galleries. Like after provinces, then you can look into regions. Like maybe you're in the Midwest, so you are first you look for galleries in the state there, and then you branch out into other states close by that are in the same region. People usually like that. For example, if you're in the prairies up in Canada, they will like other artists from the prairies because you all kind of have like that same, like especially people who do landscapes, it's kind of like a similar landscape and people are usually really, really interested in that. Yeah. Okay, so another thing when looking at galleries is that you want to make sure that whatever galleries you do apply to are reputable and aren't shams. So sometimes there have been galleries who don't really have the best reputations. They take in artists, but once their artwork sells, they don't pay them, or they damage their artwork, and they just have like terrible reputations. So before you commit to a gallery, maybe ask around, ask maybe some locals, some people close by, or maybe even get the contact information of artists who are already in that gallery and kind of ask them what their experience in that gallery is like, because you really don't want to end up in a situation where they have your artwork, they've sold some stuff, you haven't received any payment of any sort for it, and your artwork's getting damaged and you just don't know how to pull yourself out. Sometimes some galleries even just close and run. There have just been terrible things I've heard. So be very careful with the galleries that you do commit to. And then another tip for if you are looking at galleries, so you found a couple of galleries, right? Now, out of those galleries, you want to make sure that the galleries you are applying to are galleries that have work similar to yours. For example, if you do realism, then you want to make sure other galleries that you're looking at also have work that maybe also has realism. You don't want to walk into a gallery that has, say, folk art and you do realism. Now, most of their work is all for folk art or something kind of related, or it's abstract, and you're doing high realism over here. Usually galleries don't like that if you don't take a look at the work that they have and the work that they have curated and put in, and then you're just kind of popping in. It shows a lack of interest oftentimes. That's what a lot of galleries think. So you just want to be careful of that. Definitely apply to places that have other works of realism or high realism or something along those lines. Because if they already have that work, clearly, first of all, it means that that work is selling, and that's why they have it. It's work that the gallery owner or whoever is in charge of it enjoys, and it's just they're probably going to want more artists who do work similar to that, because again, it sells, and so you are contributing more to that pool of work. So definitely look at galleries similar to yours. Don't look at people who don't have works similar to yours. Vice versa, if there's a gallery who does has a lot of realism, surrealism, high realism, whatever, you don't want to bring your abstract work there, most probably. There are galleries who sometimes mix the both, but then again, take a look at the galleries. Really take your time, visit them if you have to, go on their website and check around, see what kind of work they hold, and really just get a feel of what they have. Also, galleries who have more emerging artists or kind of intermediate to emerging artists are more likely to let a new person in versus a gallery that has really established artists and their prices are just cranked all the way up. They will probably not be as forthcoming to include a brand new emerging artist. So just kind of take a look and see what kind of artists the gallery takes in. Everything is curated to the clientele to make sure the work sells. So yeah. So now you have your portfolio, you have some tips and tricks for galleries. Now you need to figure out how to basically approach these galleries. So some galleries have websites, some don't. You basically need to either visit these galleries or you need to check out their websites. My first tip would definitely be to check out the websites. But for galleries who do have websites, see if they have any submission details. Some galleries do, some galleries don't. If they have submission details, usually they ask for artists to send them work via email. So then you need to basically get all of your pieces together. You need to photograph them, and you really need to make sure that the photographs that you have are good, high quality images that look like your paintings. Don't make them better than your paintings. Don't add more saturation, don't add more contrast to give yourself a better footing, because if they do ask to see you and see your work and they see that your work does not look like the pictures that they've received, it usually doesn't leave a good impression. So definitely don't do that. But yeah, basically you want to send your work over and then also give them an artist statement. Usually all these guidelines are put there anyways, but really just try and sell yourself. the more you talk about your work and give them, a really in-depth, like, good idea of who you are and what your work stands for and what it means, they will probably be more interested. For example, recently I visited this artist's gallery personally, and it was phenomenal. They had work all over, and this artist was talking about their work, and it was like so profound the way they were talking about it. They had a very clear vision on every picture of what they were trying to go for, the overall theme. They really like to work with animals, especially endangered species. They took a lot of animals who were in stressful, like maybe small cages or bad zoo environments, stuff like that, and they would basically put them in this like beautiful landscape that was natural to them. And it was just very beautiful. Like, if you just looked at the work, it was like, oh, nice, a buffalo in like a wide landscape. That, like, it was beautiful, don't get me wrong, but once I actually heard what the artist had to say about it, like, that just really added depth. And a lot of clients who do come to the gallery oftentimes will want to know more about the piece and kind of what's the history behind the piece, and just like a little story to go along with it. And it's just so interesting, and it really and it gives them something to talk about too when they have guests and stuff over, and maybe they're showing them their artwork, which happens a lot. So I do find that's very important to do. But yeah, so if you have a good vision of your art and the pieces that you create, then other people are more likely to be drawn to your work. So that's if the gallery just wants you to submit things via email. They might call you back. Now, if they don't have any submission guidelines, then you might want to give them a ring and ask them if they have submission guidelines. I would do that in either case, whether they have a website or not. Just like give them a quick call, ask them if there's somewhere you can submit your work, and don't be like too long about it. The more you try and push your artwork and you start talking about your artwork when no one has asked, it again just doesn't leave a really good impression, because a lot of times people who are working in these art galleries or the owner are just super busy. A lot of private art galleries are, like family businesses or whatnot. It's just very hectic, very busy, and you talking about your art and taking up their time usually doesn't sit well with them. Just listen to what they have to give. Be like, hey, I'm an artist and I wanted to ask what your submission guidelines are, what you guys do to have new artists. And they will tell you what they do, if they are accepting artists or if they aren't. If they are, they will probably give you their email. So just be like, oh, okay, thank you so much. That was so helpful. Hang up and then follow what they have asked you to do. Let me give you a couple of do nots. Like, first of all, like I said, don't call them. Don't start like going on and on about your art, because honestly, like, this sounds so rude, but like they probably don't care. They're probably like just too busy to care. They haven't seen your artwork. They probably aren't interested until you actually send them pictures and stuff. Another thing is, do not go into these galleries and start discussing your artwork with the owner or whoever you see. Again, it just does not like go over well. You want to basically make sure that you walk in. It's okay to visit galleries. It's okay to even tell the owners or whoever is there that, oh yeah, I'm an artist too, blah, blah, blah. Just don't start standing there and showing them your artwork on your phone, For that, there's proper procedure, I guess, is a good word. But you want to book up an appointment, essentially, because if they don't do email, then they might just be like, hey, yeah, sure, we'll see your artwork. Why don't we book an appointment for like half an hour or an hour or whatever, and you can bring some of your work. And again, like I said earlier, talking about portfolios, you really just want to bring 7 to 10 pieces. If you really want to push it, you can bring 15, but usually the less pieces you have, the better, just so they're going to just get an idea of your artwork, see if it will fit into their gallery or not, and that'll be all. So yeah, just don't start talking about your artwork like unasked. It just doesn't tide over well. Usually people will, like, the gallery owners will complain. They don't like it. It's not, you're not thinking about their time, right? You're just kind of like putting all this information forward unasked. So yeah, it's just seen as bad manners and bad etiquette in the art world, essentially. Oh, another thing, I forgot to mention this earlier, but when you do hand in artwork, whether you're there in person or whether you're sending in an email, make sure you have all the details. Make sure you know what the medium is. Make sure you have names for the pieces. And you want to make sure that you have sizes and maybe dates as well. The more you have all this information, the more organized and the better it seems. Like, oh my God, I don't know how many times I've had to chase artists down, like trying to like figure out dates or names or etc. etc. Just like, if you have those things, it will just be so much easier for just recording purposes. Like, it's so nice to have artist names and pieces and dates and stuff like that. It's easier for archiving too. Like, a lot of artists from like long ago, if you don't have like dates, it's harder to pinpoint, hey, what era was this artist's artwork from, etc., etc. Like, it's just nice to do that, just for yourself, for everyone. Like, you don't know if you're going to blow up as a big artist, so just kind of nice to get into a good habit of those things right from the start. And if you are heading in for a meeting with the artist, like, this could happen either or. Maybe they just like straight up want to see your art. You've never even sent them emails. Maybe you have sent them emails and now they do want to see your artwork. Again, like, this goes back to the portfolio thing, but you want to take in a concise group of work. You don't want like varying materials or varying subject matters or stuff. Like, take in your strongest pieces. Take in a couple of like varying sizes. Sometimes that actually is nice. That are, the gallery owners can see that, hey, you can do really big work maybe, or you can do smaller work too, because sometimes there are clients who walk in who have like a very specific size. Like, hey, I want this for my dining room. It's in this size. And say they do like your work, but they need something a little bit smaller. So if you can show them like, hey, I can do a couple of different sizes, it's not all just like big, huge work, that's also very, very nice. And then, yeah, once you get into like one gallery, it really starts to fare better for you to get into other galleries. That's why I say start local. Even if it's not a huge gallery, even if it's small, like, people will be like, hey, someone saw something in him, and they will probably give you a chance to, and then you can build up your resume like this, and then you can slowly start branching out bigger and bigger and bigger and finding more opportunities in bigger galleries, and even going beyond like local to international acclaim. So I always think that's nice. A lot of people say judge your artwork by if it has local appeal or international appeal. I do think that's important, but I also feel like I've seen a lot of artists do a variety of work and be able to go into international or local markets. It doesn't really matter. I've seen people who do abstract work who have made it into international markets, and people who have done hyperrealism and still made it into international markets. So I don't think it really matters. You need artwork that has a really clear idea. You need to have a really clear idea. You need a really, really strong artist statement. I will preface all of this by saying that you will not get anywhere until you have a very clear artist statement. Your artwork doesn't even matter as much, and this might not make sense to some people. I personally think I've seen a variety of artists. Sometimes there's always this thing prefaced, a lot of gallery owners sometimes say, do you have international appeal or local appeal? And I have seen both hyper realists and abstract artists, and people who have done work that isn't exactly super new or super groundbreaking still make it into international markets and national markets. So I don't think that is as important as your message is. A lot of contemporary art is very, very, very much about a clear message, a clear idea of your work and what it stands for and what you are trying to say through it. And it might sound a little pretentious, but just really try and get that down, even if it's not necessarily what you find to be the most important. A lot of people do find that to be the most important thing about your artwork, especially in a time where there are just so many different styles. basically almost everything has been attempted. We have animation, we have kinetic like artwork, we have sculptures. Like there's just so much art to go around, and everyone's doing anything they want. There isn't a style of artwork that's like famous today. It's anything. People can do anything. And so you just really want to have a strong message. Like as long as you have a strong message, I feel, and you feel deeply and passionately about your art, I feel like you do have a chance. So definitely go for that. And don't feel like you don't have any opportunities if your work is more, I don't know, like people, I feel like a lot of people feel like art always has to be groundbreaking or something new or something different and pushing boundaries all the time. It doesn't have to be like that. If you like realism and if you just like realistic still lives, go for it. There is a market for it. I literally like that's a whole bunch of work that I sell these days is just realist like still lives and stuff like that, impressionist still lives. There is still a market for those things, and you don't always have to be pushing an envelope with something. For example, music these days, there are so many artists who are doing like the same like pop stuff or like the same indie stuff or like similar rock stuff, and that's okay. Like why do only artists have to be the ones who are doing something new and like that's the only way to like have yourself known? No, just do. If you like realism, do realism. If you like abstract work, do abstract work. If you like I don't know, like the Pollock-esque kind of like messy abstract work, like just do that. Do action painting if you like it. Of course, it is nice if you bring in your own ideas and your own thoughts and stuff to it, but you don't always have to put, like I said, push the envelope with it. And you could make it, like, you never know. Banksy was doing just regular old stencil, like graffiti, and his work wasn't, it got famous because he had a really clear design, and plus on top of that the whole like mask identity, and it's just like very cool, and plus he's very gimmicky, so it's it's definitely very fun. But I find that as long as you have a clear idea and a clear passion, then you can make it work. So yeah, don't feel down on yourself. I feel like there's a lot of yeah, people try and get you down, and I don't think you have to feel down. Feel confident in your art, and I think you will make it. But alright, yay! So today's drawing is from my friend. I hope you liked it. Here, I'll put up a couple of references that I worked from. I didn't do a lot of this like from my mind, and by comparing and adding kind of these references to it. Maybe I'll do another video on how to draw kind of like from your mind, or not exactly copying another image like I did with my last video. But yeah, also let me know how you feel about the Procreate screen recording versus like me actually just like screen recording this, because that's what I did on this one, and I don't know which one is better. There was a lot of like zoom outs and zoom ins in this one for sure, so I was like I don't know how people feel about that. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'll be doing more videos like this. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and I'll be bringing you more art content. So like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!
Number 20.